Captain Jace Warren stood at the viewing window of the small diplomatic shuttle as it cut through the silver clouds of Veltrian. Below stretched floating crystal spires and broad blue forests. The planet looked ancient and proud, like a palace. Carved from one endless jewel, Jace had visited many strange worlds, yet none felt as watchful. The peace mission was easy to list on paper. After Veltrian's failed invasion of Earth 3 years earlier, both sides now wanted silence more than gunfire. Earth's leaders chose Jace because he listened first and spoke later, and he also carried a story burned into his chest, a scar earned. While rescuing a Veltrian child from a crashing dropship during the war, he did not talk about it, but everyone noticed. The pilot's calm voice broke the quiet. "Landing pad Theta in 30 seconds, Captain." Jace smoothed the plain gray suit that hid thin armor plates. Protocol allowed protection as long. As it stayed polite, the weight felt like an old friend. The shuttle landed with a soft hiss. Warm, sweet air rolled inside. Jace walked down the ramp alone. He had argued against a large escort. "Peace starts with trust," he'd said. A group of Veltrian guards, weighted faces, smooth eyes glowing like twin moons. Their leader, Commander Yaller, bowed, polite but not deep. "Captain Warren of Earth, welcome. Please follow." Jace returned a respectful nod. They crossed a terrace of white stone veined with silver. Far below, sky whales drifted between hanging gardens. Everywhere beauty marched beside power. As they moved, Jace noticed civilians on balconies, merchants, students, children, gripping glowing wind toys. Some waved, others folded their arms. He met every gaze, nodding, knowing peace began in these small, unrecorded exchanges. Commander Yaller followed his glance. "Our family still count the fallen," he said quietly. "Grief is a heavy chain. Chains break one link at a time," Jace answered. The commander's stern face softened the first crack in the wall. While officials arranged protocols, an elderly court historian slipped beside Jace. "It true Earth farms reach the clouds?" she asked, eyes bright. "They do," he said. "Necessity taught us to grow food upward when land ran out." She tapped notes on a crystal slate, already imagining harvest towers for Veltrian's crowded cities. Jace realized that beyond politics, these people hungered for useful stories, ideas that could bloom into daily hope. Small seeds of trust took root that evening. A sleek hovercar waited. Inside, cool violet light pulsed beneath glass seats. Jace sat across from Yaller as the car lifted. "Her Highness Princess Aurelia will meet you in the High Hall," the commander said. "Answer with honesty." "That is my goal," Jace replied. Yaller eyed the faint lines at Jace's shoulders. "You wear hidden armor? Habit?" Jace said. "My weapons remained on the shuttle." The car glided above layered gardens, bursting with mirror-shaped flowers. At the summit rose the palace, a tall spiral of clear stone wrapped in living vines. Trust and confidence were stone and root here. Jace wondered what it felt like to grow up in a place that preached openness yet prepared for invasion. The car landed on a crescent balcony. Musicians played long harps. The melody curved through the air, proud but soft. Princess Aurelia awaited on a raised dais. She looked younger than Jace expected, perhaps 20 by Earth measure. Lavender-tinted skin, silver hair, and a thin crown of star iron caught the light, but her straight posture added years of command. Jace stopped at the base of the dais and bowed from the waist for 2 heartbeats. When he arose, she watched with cool curiosity. "Captain Jace Warren," she said, voice smooth. "As water, Earth sends you to speak of peace." "I come gladly, Highness," he answered. "I bring open hands." A whisper rippled among ministers. Aurelia lifted one hand and the room settled. "Our histories teach that humans are bold but unstable," she said. "Why should Veltrian trust you?" Jace discarded the clever speeches ready on his tongue. "Because humans know pain," he said, "and sharing pain makes it lighter." A crease formed between her brows, surprise. Oh, she stepped down from the dais. Murmurs rose. No one expected her to stand so close. Jace felt every eye on him. Heat, like sunlight through glass. "Remove your armor," Aurelia said. The words landed in the hall like iron. Even the music stopped. Commander Yaller moved, alarmed. Highness Arella raised a finger. Silence returned. Training shouted inside Jace. "Keep the barrier." Another voice, quieter, urged trust. Slowly he opened the hidden seam at his collar. Composite plates slid free beneath the cloth. Chest guard, spine brace, arm piece, Ep's etch met the polished floor with a muffled thunk. Now, only a thin gray shirt covered him. Gasps followed. The burn scar across his chest was plain dark lines and pale new skin and a jagged map from shoulder to waist. Arella's violet eyes widened. Royal calm slipped, and plain shock surfaced. "That wound," she whispered, "it is ours." "It came from the day I carried one of your children out of a fire," Jace said. Pain shared. A deeper hush fell. Ministers exchanged looks. Some lowered their heads. Arella straightened, mask returning but softer. "You will speak with me again," she said, "tonight." Jace inclined his head. "As you wish." "Highness." Music rose again, brighter now. The princess walked away, leaving the court buzzing like awakening bees. Jace exhaled, feeling strangely lighter. Perhaps trust always felt like stepping out of armor into sunlight. Outside Veltrian's twin suns slid lower, painting the palace in amber and rose. Somewhere inside him, hope stirred, fragile, but alive. Asked ChatGPT. The grand hall remained quiet even after the music started again. But people were not focused on the notes. Their eyes kept returning to Captain Jace Warren standing without his armor. The scar on his chest clearly visible under the soft fabric of his shirt. Princess Arella had walked away. But her words echoed in every corner. "You will speak with me again tonight." Jace bowed once more, then picked up his armor without rushing. He didn't feel embarrassed. That scar was not a weakness. It was a memory, a proof of choice. He had chosen to save a child, not destroy an enemy. Veltrian guards stayed close as they guided him to a guest chamber inside the palace. The room was large, built from smooth crystal walls that changed color slowly. It had no weapons, no locks, but it had a wide window that looked out over the glowing garden trees. Jace sat quietly, thinking about the princess and what she had. Seen, he didn't know why she had asked him to remove the armor. Maybe it was a test. Maybe it was curiosity. But when she saw the scar, her expression had changed. That moment, it had meant something. As night fell, the door to his chamber opened. A single figure stepped inside. It was Princess Arella. She wore a long robe of silver and green, her crown replaced by a simple braid in her hair. 2 guards remained outside, but she had come alone. It said more than words. "You are not like the others," she said softly, walking in without fear. Jace stood politely. "Neither are you." A small smile touched her lips. "You're still not afraid. Even now." "I've learned that fear doesn't help peace," he replied. "It only feeds the war we try to stop." Arella stepped closer, looking again. At his chest, "The scar," she said, almost a whisper, "is not from a weapon. No, from fire. During the last days of battle, I saw a small transport crash near a forest. When I heard the screams, I went in. Pulled a child out before the ship exploded." "Why?" Jace blinked. "Because it was a child." She studied his face. "You could have died. I knew that." Silence filled the space between them. A moment. Then she turned away and walked to the window. "Our people think strength is power, control, pride," Arella said, watching the twin moons rise. "We were trained to believe that humans are wild, emotional, unable to rule themselves." "I've heard the same," Jace admitted. "But what we feel, that is our strength." She looked at him. "You show your pain like a badge." "No," he said, "I show my truth." Arella sat on the edge of the low crystal bench. Her posture was still royal, but her eyes were filled with something more doubt. Or maybe discovery. "You don't speak like a soldier," she said. "I fight." "Only when I must," Jace answered. "My goal is not victory. It's peace." "You're strange," she said. He chuckled. "That's what most people say before they agree with me." The princess's lips curved in a quiet smile. They talked for hours. Jace told her stories of Earth's history wars, losses, rebuilding, unity. He spoke of Earth's cities and the sky, of oceans turned into solar farms, of how humans turn pain into progress in return. Irela told him about Veltrian's traditions, about how royal children were taught strategy before kindness, how no one asked why things were done, only how to do them better. She told him of her loneliness, her duty, and the silence behind the crown. When I became princess, they told me I must protect the honor of Veltrian, she said. But no one ever explained what honor really meant. Maybe it means doing what's right, Jace said, even when no one agrees. She was quiet. Then a deep boom shook the walls. Lights flickered. A flash appeared in the garden, followed by distant screams. Irela stood instantly. An attack, she asked. JC rushed to the window. Small drones buzzed through the air, dropping firebombs near the far end of the palace. Those are combat drones, but not from Earth. He looked at her. You need to get to safety. She lifted her chin. I will not run. Then let me help, Jace said. No armor, just me. Irela nodded. Together, they ran down the hall. Guards met them with weapons ready. The royal vault is secure, Highness, said one. The outer wall was breached. Jace grabbed a small energy shield from the wall, just in case. The two of them rushed toward the outer courtyard. Firelight flickered off the polished stones. Civilians screamed, fleeing into tunnels. One drone zoomed straight toward them. Jace jumped forward, shield raised, and smashed the drone midair. Sparks flew. He grabbed Irela's arm and pulled her to cover. She stared at him. You fight without a suit? Sometimes armor only gets in the way. Another drone came, and this time Irela threw a control blade sharp and fast. It hit the drone and cut it in half. Jace grinned. Not bad. They fought side by side, her royal training and his battlefield instinct working as one. Soon, the drones were gone, crashed and burning on the stone tiles. Guards returned. We are secure, one announced. Enemies gone. No deaths. Jace! And Irela stood, breathing hard. The garden smoked around them. One of the guards picked up a damaged drone. His face paled. Highness, this drone carries a human signal. Jace turned slowly. What? Irela took the drone. Her eyes narrowed. Someone wants to blame Earth. They looked at each other. This was not an accident, she said. No, Jace agreed. Someone wants this alliance to fail. Irela clutched the damaged drone. The princess had asked him to remove his armor, expecting weakness. But what she saw was something stronger. Now, trust was no longer a game. It was war of lies, truth, and survival. The fires in the garden were gone, but the smell of smoke still lingered in the palace air. Guards worked quickly to clear the rubble, but the damage was done. Someone had attacked the royal grounds inn. They had used a drone with a human signal. Captain. Jace Warren sat in silence, his hands resting on his knees. Across from him sat Princess Irela, her face calm but her mind clearly racing. The broken drone lay between them on a low crystal table, its blinking light now dark. You believe me? Jace asked quietly. Irela looked up. Saw you. Fight to protect my people. I saw your pain and your honesty. You had no reason to attack us. But someone wants it to look like I did, he said. To destroy peace before it begins. Irela nodded slowly. There are those among us who do not want change. Jace leaned forward, and maybe some on Earth who feel the same. She stood and walked to the tall window. Moonlight bathed her in silver, but her thoughts were heavy. My people see me as a symbol, she said softly. But they don't know who I really am. Then tell me, Jace said gently. She turned, surprised by his words. You trusted me with your peoples. Safety, he continued. Now trust me with your truth. Irela took a long breath and stepped closer. I was born during the last cycle of war. My mother ruled with strength and fear. She believed kindness was weakness. Before she died, she gave me one lesson. Never show your heart. It will be your enemy. Jace listened without speaking. was raised inside these walls. I studied politics, military strategy, and ancient traditions, but no one taught me how to speak from the heart. They taught me how to lead armies, not people. She sat beside him now, her voice quieter. Sometimes I wish I were not born royal, just someone else, someone free. Jace nodded slowly. On Earth, we say the same thing. Even leaders feel trapped by what they're supposed to be. They shared a quiet moment. Back there, she said. When you stepped in front of that drone, you didn't know if it would kill you. No, Jace said. But I did it anyway. Why? Because you were beside me. Her eyes widened. Slightly. He wasn't trying to impress her. He meant every word. Suddenly, a small comm device buzzed at her side. She answered it quickly. A guard's voice spoke. Highness, the council has called an emergency meeting. They demand answers. Understood, she replied. Tell them I'm coming. She turned to Jace. The council is powerful. If they believe Earth betrayed us, they will vote for war again. Let me speak, Jace said. She shook her head. They won't listen. Not yet. Then what will you do? Arela walked to the table and picked up the broken drone. I will show them the truth. But I need evidence, and I need time. Just stood. Then I'll help you find it. She raised an eyebrow, still trusting me. You showed me. Your pain, that means more than 100 weapons. Arela smiled faintly. You're very strange, Jace Warren. It's very brave, Princess Arela. Later that night, they left the palace quietly. Arela wore a plain cloak, hiding her royal clothes. Jace followed her through hidden tunnels under the city, moving past sleeping gardens and silent gates. They emerged into a quiet district where no one would expect royalty to visit. This is where the engineers live, she whispered. If the drone was fake, the answers are here. They entered a low building filled with parts, tools, and glowing screens. An old Veltrian male looked up from his bench. His eyes widened. Highness, quiet, she said. You're safe. Need your help. The engineer, Master Coral, bowed quickly. Anything. She placed the drone on his table. Scan this. Find the truth. Coral worked quickly. Screens lit up. Numbers, signals, and energy patterns danced across the room. Jace watched closely. After a long pause, Coral spoke. This is not Earth's technology. It uses a false signal something added to trick our sensors. Who built it? Chaos.Korl hesitated. The code. It's from General Varric. Arela's eyes narrowed. He's one of the council generals. Nodded, and one of the loudest voices against the peace talks. Jace frowned. He wants war. Arela stared at the screen. He tried to kill me, just to stop the alliance. Jace stepped forward. Then we expose him. No, Arela said firmly. We do not accuse without proof. Not yet. She turned to Coral. Can you copy the data? Yes, he said, already preparing the files. After collecting the evidence, Arela and Jace returned to the palace before sunrise. No one saw them. The halls were still. The city was unaware that peace had almost been destroyed. Inside the princess's private chamber, she sat again by the window. Jace stood beside her. Tomorrow, she said, the council will demand blood. And what will you give them? Jace asked. She looked up, her voice calm and clear. The truth. Nothing else. They sat in silence as the first light of dawn touched the crystal towers. Two leaders born from two worlds now stood on the same path, but shadows still waited. And the fight for peace had only just begun. The golden morning light touched the tops of Veltrian's towers, but the palace was tense. Inside the High Council chamber, leaders of the Veltrian Empire gathered in silence. Thick stone pillars surrounded the large circular room, floating. Lights hovered above, casting soft glows on the faces of warriors' elders. And advisors at the center stood Princess Arela, dressed in her royal robe. Her eyes calm but alert. To her right stood General Varric, a tall, proud man with sharp silver markings across his face. His voice had often been the loudest in council meetings. He didn't look at the princess, but his lips were tight. Captain Jace Warren stood quietly near the back, dressed in plain clothes, without armor, showing no threat. But his eyes never left General Varric. The council elder spoke, we gather, to decide the future. Last night, the palace was attacked. Drones flew into the royal garden and brought fire and fear. Our princess was nearly harmed. The drones carried a human signal. We ask again, does Earth come in peace or with deception? The room murmured. General Varric stepped forward. I warned you, he said firmly. Earth cannot be trusted. They speak of peace, but they carry lies beneath soft words. This attack proves it, Arella raised her hand. And what if the proof is false? The room quieted. Varric frowned. What do you mean? She stepped forward, holding a small crystal disc. This device holds the data from the drone. It was not sent by Earth. The signal was faked, created to trick us. Varric narrowed his eyes. Who created it then? She looked at the council members. The code comes from inside our own army. One of our own people created it. Gasps echoed. Arella continued, I have the full report. The drone signal was crafted using access codes that belonged to General Varric himself. All eyes turned to him. That's a lie, he said quickly. This is a trick, a human trick. Jace stepped forward. No trick. A Veltrian engineer confirmed it. He matched your codes to the drone's false signal. Varric's hand moved slightly toward the blade at his side. Guards noticed. I did what was needed, Varric said coldly. You are young. You do not understand war. Peace will make us weak. No, Arella replied. Fear makes us weak. Rex. Voice rose. We lost thousands in the war. Now you want to bow before humans? I want to protect my people, she said, stepping closer. You almost had me killed just to stop peace. You are soft, Varric hissed, like your father. A hush fell. The room had never heard anyone speak of the late king with such disrespect. Arella stood tall. My father died fighting for Veltrian. But he died with pride, not hate. You will not speak his name again. The guards stepped in. General Varric, you are ordered to surrender. But Varric did not surrender. With a quick motion, he pulled a small energy blade from his belt and lunged at a single quotes Ariel. Before anyone could stop him, Jace moved. His body blocked the princess as the blade slashed across his shoulder. He didn't fall. Instead, he grabbed Varric's wrist and twisted it, forcing the blade to the ground. Guards swarmed in. Varric was pulled away, shouting, You'll regret this. You'll regret trusting them. Rella rushed to Jace. You're hurt. It's nothing, he said, holding the bleeding shoulder. Just a scratch. She helped him sit. The council elders stood slowly. One of them spoke. You protected our princess again, Captain Warren, and now we see the truth clearly. Another added, Veltrian was nearly dragged into another war by one of our own. The lead elder turned to Arella. What do you ask of us? Arella stood. Let General Varric face trial. Let the people know the truth. And let the alliance with Earth continue. The elders looked at one another. Then one by one they nodded. It will be done, the lead elder said. Relief filled the room, but Arella was not smiling. Later, in the healing chamber, Jace sat on a soft seat while a medic patched up his shoulder. Arella sat beside him. You took a blade for me, she said. You would have done the same, he replied. She was quiet for a moment, then softly, You changed the way I see everything. Jace looked at her. You changed me too. Arella stood and walked to the window. The council agreed to peace, but only if you return to Earth. They fear public unrest. Some are not ready for a human at my side. Jace stood, pain in his arm forgotten. So that's it? I go back? For now, she said gently, but not forever. He walked up beside her. You once asked me to remove my armor. Now I ask Yura, move your crown. Just for a moment. Just be you. She took off the silver headpiece and placed it on the table. I am not just a princess, she whispered. I am Arella. A woman who sees hope in a human. Jace smiled. I'm just a man who followed that hope. Silence passed. Between them, not empty, but full of things unspoken. Arella stepped back. Your ship leaves at dawn, Jace nodded. Then I'll see you at the edge of the sky. As the moons rose high over Veltrian, the shadows of betrayal faded. But a question remained, waiting in both their hearts. What would happen when duty and love pulled in different directions? The stars over Veltrian were quiet, but Princess Arella's heart was not. She stood alone on the royal balcony, looking up at the sky where Captain Jace Warren's ship would soon rise. The council had made their decision. Jace must return. To Earth, peace would be signed. But the people were not yet ready to see a human by the princess's side. She had saved her world from war. But she felt like she was losing something else. Behind her, a guard approached carefully. Highness, the launch pad is ready. Arella gave a small nod. She turned and walked down the palace halls, her robes flowing behind her. Her face was calm, but her chest felt heavy. At the launch pad, the small Earth ship sat like a silver bird, engines humming softly. Jace stood near the ramp, dressed in his light travel uniform. A bandage was still wrapped around his shoulder, but he stood tall. His eyes met hers the moment she arrived. They didn't speak right away. Finally, Arella broke the silence. Your ship is ready. So I heard, Jace replied. His voice was calm, but his smile was smaller than usual. The council thanks you, she said. And so do I. He tilted his head slightly. But they still want me gone. Arella looked down. They fear what they don't understand. Jace stepped closer. And what about you? Do you fear it? She met his eyes. No, I fear losing it. For a second, the world felt still. Then soft steps approached. The lead council elder stood nearby, holding a scroll. Captain Warren, he said, this is the official agreement. Earth and Veltrian are now allies. There will be no war. Jace took the scroll. Thank you, the elder added. But you must leave now, for the safety of both worlds. Jace looked at Arella, then back at the elder. I understand. The elder bowed and stepped away. Jace turned back to her. You know, he said softly, when I first came here, I thought your people would never trust mine. And now? She asked. Now, I know trust takes more than words. It takes risk. And scars? Arella touched his bandaged shoulder. Carry both? He gently reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cube. It glowed with soft blue light. This holds a part of Earth, he said. Books, songs, memories, and my final message. Arella took the cube carefully. What does it say? Jace smiled. It says, I'll come back. At him with wide eyes. You still believe that? He nodded. You're not just a ruler, Arella. You're a bridge between worlds. So am I. The ship's engines powered up. It was time. Arella stepped back. Safe journey, Captain. Jace gave her a long look. Goodbye, Princess. But before he could board, she suddenly stepped forward. Wait, she said. If peace means we must be apart, will you choose your duty or your heart? The question stopped him. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached out and gently held her hand. I choose both, he whispered. But for now, I choose to protect this peace, even if it means leaving you. Arella squeezed his hand tightly, then let go. He walked up the ramp, and the doors closed behind him. The ship lifted, slow and smooth, then rose higher into the sky. Arella watched until the light faded into the stars. That night, Veltrian held a celebration. Lanterns floated into the air, where people danced, music filled the streets, and food was shared across every district. The war that nearly returned was gone, and a new hope had arrived. But Arella didn't attend the celebration. She stayed in her chamber, holding the small cube in her hands. When she activated it, a soft voice played. This is Captain Jace Warren, speaking from Earth. The cube showed images, flowers blooming on Earth, children laughing, old humans telling stories, stars rising over oceans. We humans have always been called emotional, unpredictable, too weak or too wild. But maybe that's why we survive. We love, even when it's hard. We forgive, even when it hurts. And we dream, even when the world says no. The next image showed Jace's face, smiling gently. You asked me to remove my armor, Arela? What you saw left you speechless. But I saw you too. I saw a leader strong enough to listen, a woman brave enough to feel. I will return not in battle, not with ships, but when your world is ready to see the strength behind kindness. Message ended with the image of the earth moon and a simple symbol. 2 hands reaching across stars. Arela sat silently, tears shining in the corner of her eye. Weeks passed. The alliance between Earth and Veltrian grew stronger. Trade began. Young Veltrian scientists visited Earth. Human engineers arrived to help build water towers in the desert cities. Peace had taken root. Arela ruled with quiet wisdom. She listened more. She visited the poor districts. She invited thinkers, not just warriors, into her court, and on her desk, the cube remained. One morning, as she walked through the royal garden, a sound made her pause. A soft hum. A familiar hum. She turned toward the sky. A single human ship was landing small, silent, and peaceful. Her heart beat faster. When the doors opened, Jace stepped out. He wore no armor, just a simple earth cloak, the color of soil and sky. The guards didn't move. They'd already been told. Jace walked forward, smiling. Arela didn't wait. She ran to him and wrapped her arms around him. You came back, she whispered. I told you I would. And this time, she didn't need to ask him to remove his armor, because now they both had none left to hide. The sun rose gently over the crystal towers of Veltrian. The sky was soft orange, and the gardens below shimmered with dew. For the first time in many seasons, the palace felt truly alive, not with tension, but with calm hope. Princess Arela stood at the balcony of her chamber, watching the city wake. Below her, streets were filling with traders, children, and scholars. Human and Veltrian banners now flew side by side over the rooftops. Behind her, Captain Jace Warren stepped into the room. He no longer wore his Earth uniform. Instead, he wore simple robes in the colors of Veltrian. They suited him more than he realized. Peace looks good on your city, Jace said with a smile. Arela turned and nodded. It's not just the city. It's the people. They're changing. Slowly but surely, she walked over to him. You've only been back for a few weeks, and already your presence brings balance. Even the council listens more. Jace chuckled. Maybe they're still watching to see if I bring trouble. Maybe she smiled. Or maybe they're learning what strength really means. They sat together near the window. The breeze carried the scent of morning flowers and the distant sound of children laughing. Have you decided yet? Arela asked, gently. Jack grew quiet a few days earlier. Earth had sent him a message. Return to serve as ambassador or resign and remain on Veltrian as a private citizen. It was a rare offer. Earth never asked its soldiers to choose between planets. I don't know, Jace admitted. My place has always been Earth, but now your heart is here, she said softly. He nodded. I came here to build peace. I never expected to find something personal. They sat in silence for a moment. You don't have to decide today, Arela said, but I want you to know. If you stay, you won't be alone. Jace looked at her. And if I leave, I'll understand, she whispered, because I know what duty means. Later that day, the two walked through the garden, where the first attack had taken place months ago.
Ow.
Now it was filled with life young. Trees growing where fire once burned, and a fountain in the center with a new statue. It was a sculpture of 2 figures standing side by side. One was clearly human, the other Veltrian. Their hands were not touching, but they reached toward the same light. What do you see when you look at it? Jace asked. Arela thought for a moment. Hope and choice. A group of children passed. Nearby, laughing and pointing at the statue, one little Veltrian girl turned and asked, Is that you, princess? Arela smiled. Maybe. Or maybe it's all of us. The girl looked at Jace. And you're the human who saved her? Jace. Kneeled, we saved each other. The children giggled and ran off, their curiosity satisfied. That evening, a council dinner was held. Human and Veltrian guests sat at the same long table, sharing food and stories. Jace sat beside Arella, but remained quiet through most of the event. After the final toast, the lead elder stood and raised his cup. Captain Jace Warren, he said, "Your courage helped stop war and start peace. Veltrian honors you. But now we must ask, what is your path? Will you return to Earth, or stay among us as one of our own?" All eyes turned to Jace. He stood slowly. The hall grew quiet. "I was born on Earth," he said. "I trained to protect it, to fight for it. But peace, peace is not about where we are born. It's about where we are needed." He looked at Arella. "This world needs healing, not from war, but from silence, fear, and old thinking. If I can help, then I will stay." A cheer rose from one side of the table. Smiles spread among the others. Even the elder nodded with quiet respect. Jace sat down and Arella leaned in. "You made your choice." "Yes," he said, "but not just for duty, for something more." She reached for his hand under the table and held it gently. Weeks passed. Jace began working with Veltrian engineers and teachers. He helped build new schools where both human and Veltrian knowledge could be shared. He also trained new peacekeepers warriors, who carried no weapons, only tools for diplomacy and defense. Arella, now more confident and respected than ever, led reforms across the empire. She opened new positions for thinkers, artists, and healers. The old ways of power were still there, but they were no longer the only way. In the evenings, she and Jace would meet in the garden, walking together beneath the twin moons. One night, as the wind whispered through the trees, Jace stopped and looked at her. "I thought my armor was the strongest part of me," he said, "but it wasn't." "What was?" she asked. "My choice to take it off." She smiled, "And what you showed me that day left me speechless." They stood in silence, watching the stars above. Not as princess and soldier, not as alien and human, but as two hearts that had chosen each other.